Well, let's dive straight in. What is tip number one?
Right, tip number one is share photos of students' work.
I like it, right. Tell us more about this.
Okay, so I used to try and share photos of students' work, and it worked absolutely dreadfully. So this is what I used to do, and maybe it's similar to what you do, or maybe other people have better ways of doing it. But what I used to do is I would set my computer up with a bookmark to my Google Drive in Chrome. Then I'd go to my phone, I would take a photo, I would then hit the share button, press to Google Drive. It would upload a 3 megabyte file to Google Drive. I'd go to my computer, I'd refresh the bookmark until it finally appeared, and then realise that the Wi-Fi wasn't working, or something else was basically wrong. And finally get it on my computer, then I go and put it up on the other screen so kids can see it, and then, well, I can't really annotate over the top of it anyway to show them anything. I can just kind of point. I know some people use visualizers for this. I have used visualizers before, but then you've got to go and take a kid's work, borrow it, put it under, then they don't have the work, you've got to remember who to take it back to. Better than using Google Drive, probably. But I wanted to make a quicker way and a better way. So I'd already been kind of developing some whiteboard software, which I had been using for a couple of months. And I made a way. It only took me a couple of hours, actually. It was over, it was in, was it the February half term, I think? Someone mentioned it would be at work, it would be nice to be able to take photos of kids' work. And it took me a couple of hours to do the code for it. So what you can do now using the software I've made at mathsuniverse.com/whiteboard is you just on your phone take a photo, and within half a second it appears on the board and you can annotate over the top. And it really is as simple as that.
Now, I can testify to this. I'm really reluctant, Jake, sometimes. Whenever, as maths teachers, we're very fortunate, and it's true of all teachers, but I think particularly maths teachers, we see loads of new websites popping up left, right and centre, and some need a login, some there's a big old cost in terms of not necessarily monetary, but time cost trying to get your head around how they work and so on. So I'm really reluctant to recommend kind of teachers trying new things if it's going to take a big long time. But this is, I can testify, I sound like a dodgy salesman. I mean, there's no money in it for you, so there's certainly no money in it for me. But it's
I'm not charging anything for this, completely free.
It is really slick how it works. And what you're going to do, again, I'll mention this in the intro, but you're going to show a little video demonstration of based on what we talk about here, that will, for the benefit of the people watching on the video, will be able to see. But it really is seamless, right? And that's a big thing, because you don't want this to be a big old time cost. And I've done exactly what you said. I love sharing kids' work, and we'll talk pedagogically about that in a second. But I've done exactly the same. I've taken the picture. First I tried Dropbox and forget it. If you're trying to do Dropbox on school systems, that is an absolute recipe for disaster. But Google Drive, there's a big old time cost. Sometimes the photos don't come out in great quality. It's a real pain to then. I then copy them, put them in a PowerPoint, so then I can annotate them, and that the kids are like, well, the bell's,
I've done that as well.
Bell's gone at this point. It's an absolute disaster. So just literally, Jake, just talk us through. Let's paint the picture of a lesson here. So, at what stage of a lesson are you using this? And just talk us through a scenario of what kind of work you might put on there and what you might do with it.
Yeah, of course. So I use it in probably about 2 or 3 of my 5 lessons a day, particularly with my year 7s at the moment, it seems, because they just really love to share their work. So there's different ways I might use it. One is maybe a brainstorming session. Maybe we're doing a bit of revision on a topic that we did a couple of terms ago. And I'll just ask the kids to open a new page in their book and just start writing down anything they can remember about that topic. So I might say algebra, for example. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around the room with my phone out, already loaded to the website with the right room code, so it matches what's up on the board at the front. And whenever I see a kid with some work which I think looks like it's worth sharing, I just take a photo of that and it appears up on the board straight away. And I get everyone to look up the board and say, have a look up at the board, look at what Matilda's been doing here. What do we call this? Yes, that's right, it's substitution, or whatever else it might be. Might also annotate over the top a bit, or maybe there's a mistake here as well. Maybe they've done this a little bit right, a little bit wrong. What can we do to help them with that? So yeah, there's that brainstorming part. Another one might be, for example, we're doing solving equations, let's say, and they're doing a practice question, and we've just gone through a worked example, and I noticed that there are some mistakes around the room. So they're adding when they should be subtracting. I'm sure we've all seen that one before. Or they're not doing it in the method that I've just shown them, or they're just showing their answers because it's an easy question, they've just worked it out in their head. So as I'm going around the room, I'm taking photos of what they've done. I'm asking them first, But really, I'm not letting them opt out of that. So even if they've made a mistake, I'm like, I'd love to help you with this, so that other people can help you. Other people are going to be making the same mistake that you're making here. So it'll be great if we can share that with the class. And yeah, I'll put it up on the board, and I'll ask people to put their hands up and suggest what's right or what's what could be improved on that code on that example.
This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Right, tons of questions for you here. So yeah, just on that kind of attributing names to kids' work. Sometimes as you say, kids can be a bit funny about this particularly. Well, sometimes if they've got it wrong, they don't obviously want that shown publicly. But sometimes in some classes, if they've got it right and you're kind of showcasing excellence, they don't necessarily want their name attached to it. I agree with you. I think there are ways of creating a culture where that's not so much a problem. But again, I'm guessing this can be kind of fairly anonymous, right? You're snapping a picture, and it's not like you're grabbing the child's book. It's almost easier to cover up whose work it is, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like I say, I do usually almost always say whose work it is. There are some occasions where I don't, where I've got a child who, I know that they've had a bad experience in the past with another teacher or something. Yeah, so you can do it anonymously. Like you say, you've just taken a photo somewhere in the room and you've hit a button on your phone, it appears on the screen, so you don't have to then go and give them their book back and have the whole class see whose work it was that was just shared.
It's really nice, this. So a couple of other things here. So there's a bit of a running joke on this show that every episode mini whiteboards get mentioned. I would imagine this works quite well with kind of taking photos of mini whiteboards as well as bookwork, just because the kids write a bit bigger on them and so on. Would you have experienced with that, or does it tend to be books that you use this for?
So I haven't, you'll be very displeased to hear, I don't tend to make a big use yet of mini whiteboards in my classroom, partly because there's just the logistics of giving them out and pens not working and all that kind of stuff. What I am trying to do is build something which is like a little mini whiteboarding thing online, a bit like whiteboard.fi, to help with that, but then they've got to have their phones out to do that. So again, it could work with mini whiteboards, but it doesn't need to be bigger. As long as your phone has a decent enough camera, which almost everyone's will do, then it doesn't matter really how big the work is, because you can just put the camera closer to it. But yeah, it could work with mini whiteboards as well.
That's fantastic. You also mentioned, and I think it's worth emphasising, it's not just that the picture appears on the screen. You've then got annotating tools. Is that right? Can you just talk us through how those work? Do you have to be at the board to do that? Can you do that on your phone? What do you tend to do with that?
Yes, so all of my lessons, what is on in my classroom, I've got a desktop computer with its own monitor, and then I've got the big screen at the front of the room, which since December is an interactive whiteboard. It used to be a projector, but now it's an interactive whiteboard. So on the whiteboard, I've got extended desktop mode, so I've got something different on my desktop monitor to what's on the big whiteboard that the kids can see. And what the kids see is just a browser tab, Chrome browser tab, to mathsuniverse.com/whiteboard/my room number. And that's in full screen, so they can't see anything else at all. And so it just appears on there, basically, along with anything else I might be delivering for the lesson. So everything gets delivered through that same website.
Got it. And what are some...
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Sorry, I can't quite remember what the question was now.
Just about the annotating tools. What have you got there? You've got like a basic pen, a bit of highlighter. What are some of the tools there?
Yeah, sure. So there's 5 different colours that you can use. There's a couple of highlighters. You can also erase things, and all of this is really simple to do just with gestures with 2 fingers. So if I want to change colour, rather than having to sort of go to a menu over on the left-hand side, change a colour, or if you've ever done it in PowerPoint before, where you're doing like PowerPoint in slideshow mode, there's like this tiny little button in the bottom left corner, and you click on that, and then you get a red pen, and then you've got to go on another one, you get a green pen. It just takes so long. So it's particularly built for changing between 2 or 3 colours very quickly. You can just kind of swipe down with 2 fingers, and it changes colour, then you can swipe down again with 2 fingers and it goes back to the other colour. And
I know you'll demonstrate this on the video, Jake, but are you doing that on your phone, or are you at the interactive whiteboard for that?
So yeah, you can do either. I don't tend to use my phone much for that. I tend to use a tablet, if anything, except I currently don't, because the Wi-Fi is not good enough, which is really annoying. And I have no mobile phone reception in my classroom as well. But the idea is, on my tablet computer, I just kind of open it up and I start writing on here and doing whatever else it is, and whatever I'm doing on that screen is going to appear up on the whiteboard for the kids as well.
And that shouldn't be underestimated, right? That's a powerful thing. The fact you can be anywhere in the classroom, you've not got your eyes turned to the board. You can be at the back of the room seeing everybody, and you're making it appear. That feels like quite a powerful part of this teaching in general, but specifically this when we're digging into a kid's piece of work.
Absolutely. In fact, tip number 3 is going to be try teaching from anywhere in the room. So tip number 3, I can kind of go into that a little bit more detail about how that can work.
I like it. That's brilliant. Right, so a couple more things. Be honest with me, Jake. Any problems with this? Well, what are the kind of teething issues? Perhaps not that you have because you know it in and out, but that new users will have with this.
So one potential issue is it uses a technology called WebSockets, which is something that like Dr. Frost Math Live uses as well. And that's something that for some strange reason some school IT departments block. So you might need to send a message to your IT department and say to them, can you please unblock WebSockets for mathsuniverse.com to get that to work? And they should say that's fine. There's no reason why it wouldn't be fine. That's one issue, or people might accidentally put in a different room code. So you've got to have the same room code on your computer and on your tablet or your phone. Otherwise, that's not going to connect up together.
And is there any way? I mean, we know what kids are like. I'm just picturing a child somehow kind of hacking into this. Could that be a thing? Like and all of a sudden a flipping part of the body appears on the board. Could that be something that could happen?
Yeah. I mean, so if you tell the kids what the room code is, then they could go and put something in that same room, in theory. Yeah.
Got it.
That's never happened to me, partly because our kids, the students in my school don't have their phones or their laptops or whatever out. But yeah, potentially you could have that happening, in which case you can just change the room code to a different one. I prefer to keep it so you don't have to log in or anything. It really is a matter of just going to the website and it loads in way under a second, and that's it. If in the future I have to do something like that because people start misusing it, then I guess that's something we'll just have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
Of course, yeah, kids are annoying like that. Right, 2 final questions on this, Jake. First, have you? We have lots of non-maths teachers listening to this. Is this something that you've had colleagues in other subjects use?
Yes. So actually, it was I just come back from half term, and there was a science teacher in my class doing a chess club with some sixth formers at the time. And I was demonstrating to another colleague this new, fancy feature I built where you could upload student photos, and I think I actually saw his jaw drop when he saw it. And so he started using that. But again, unfortunately, he had a bit of a problem with Wi-Fi in the room. So you do want to have good quality Wi-Fi on your phone, or at least an internet connection. It doesn't need to be Wi-Fi, right? As long as you've got an internet connection on your phone, then you can get the work up on the board. I've also basically in May, I kind of told the world about it on Twitter by messaging you and Joe Morgan and a couple of other people, and then you sort of spread it around a little bit. And I've had people use it for science lessons, for English lessons, for modern foreign languages. So it can absolutely be used for any kind of lesson.
That's fantastic. And final question on this. One of the things, when I started messing around with just taking photos of kids' work and using either Google Drive or Dropbox, whilst it was an absolute pain, one of the big positives that I liked was I could use the photos in the lesson, but I could also use them outside of the lesson. So I could use them, if it was a mistake, I could use that as prompts for another class to identify the mistake. If it's an example of excellence, we could study that. I could use it in CPD sessions, with departmental meetings, all those kind of things. Now, I assume, obviously, you will, of course, you can do the same because you're taking the photos. How do you personally use the photos of kids' work outside of the lesson, if at all?
So at the moment, not very much. And by default, if you take the photo in the quickest way possible to get it onto the board, it doesn't save it at all. Nothing is stored on my server whatsoever. I don't even record how many people use the server every day or anything like that. So there's no way to kind of log in and get things that you've taken before. So if you want to save that photo that a kid has taken, there's a button on the website to download it, or you can just kind of Control-C to copy it out of there and then paste it into your PowerPoint or smart notebook or whatever it is you've got. I've done something similar in the past once or twice where we take those photos and make multiple copies and print them off, and then the students have to actually kind of on paper, annotate what they think is good and what they think is bad about another student's work, but I don't currently do much of that.
That's fantastic. Well, this will be the point, Jake, where if you're watching the video, fingers crossed seamlessly, this will blend into some lovely tutorial that you've put together. So podcast listeners, if you...
Pure magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Podcast listeners, if you hop over to the show notes, there'll be a link to that as well as a link to Jake's wonderful website.
So for the first tip, my son and I are going to show you how to use mathsuniverse.com/whiteboard to share photos of student work. Say hi, Benji.
Hello.
Okay, so we have a computer here. So this will be the one that we have on the screen that the kids can see as well. And we've also got a tablet, or it could be a phone, Android, iOS, doesn't really matter. And we're going to be using that to take a photo of Benji's work that we can see over here. We're going to start off by going to the same room on both of the computers. So Benji's going to go on the tablet first here, it could be the computer, and we're going to go to whiteboard, and you'll see it's got the room code there. Now he can either use that room code or he can put in a new one. Either's fine. He's going to stick with that room code. Now in the web address you can see the room code at the end. So we've got TYUII, or we can go down to the bottom right corner and click on that question mark. And that brings up a menu and it tells us what the how we're going to join it from another computer as well. So let's just close that help. Now on the computer over here, he's going to go to the same room code. So he's going to go through to the whiteboard and he's going to put in the same room code. And he could choose his own one as well. Okay, so we've joined the same room. He's just going to check it's in the same room by writing something on one of those devices. So you can see as he writes on one device, it's appearing on the other. It's completely wirelessly. He could even be in a different room, could be in a different country, and it's still going to be working the same way. That's how we can check we're in the same room. We've also got a green dot in the top corner. That's telling us that there's no network problems at all. So now he's checked that he's in the same room. He could use it as a whiteboard. He could share his PowerPoint, all the normal ways. But what we're going to do here is we're going to be taking a photo of his own work. So he's going to bring up the camera on the device. And he's got some lovely work that he's done here. Now, of course, this will be me as a teacher going around the room, taking a photo of this work. And he's got a photo and he's just going to press OK on that device. And instantly, or almost instantly, it appears on the screen. Now, he can still annotate over the top of that. So we're going to do some annotations over the top, either on the big whiteboard screen itself or on the tablet. Let's do some annotations, Benji. Okay, so he's highlighting the fact here that he is nicely doing the same operation to both sides at all times. And we're telling the class that you're always making sure you're doing the same operation to both sides. Of course, you may not just have one student's work you want to take a photo of. So let's take a photo of some more work here, Benji. So we're going to bring up that. He's using the icon that looks like a picture frame to clear it, but we don't need to press that if we want to go straight to another photo. And he's going to take another photo of some different work this time, something that he's proud of. Here we've got some work on indices. He's going to take that photo and he's going to press that OK button again. And as soon as he presses OK, it's going to appear up on the screen, ready to annotate over the top. So one thing that some people don't realize is you do have this button on here, which is a picture frame, and we can press that picture frame either on the computer or on the tablet, and that's how we can hide that work. Also, we've got a save button on there. So if we want to save the photo, by default, it's not going to save it at all, but we've got that save button, which will save a copy, or we can Control-C to copy it, and then we can Control-V into a PowerPoint or whatever other thing that we've got. So thank you very much, Benji, for helping us out with that one.